business. They're convinced my hot dog stall guy is like getting dirt on me. But it's I don't fucking know. I dealt with that for like a fucking 2 hours.
Sounds interesting.
I feel like I actually feel right like after that entire 2 hour bit. Like, you know what? It's like none of it makes any sense, like even remotely, but you have to like, you're kind of like in a corner where like you have to just be like, oh yeah, this makes sense, even though it doesn't make any sense. And you're being like hyper gaslit into it. I was gaslit for 2 hours. Like, I actually feel
So
fucking...
you're being sold a bill of goods by someone trying to start a business, sounds like.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's like, this guy who has zero... I don't fucking know. Anyways, fucking headache. Jesus. Oh my God.
So the reason I wanted to talk to you was I wanted to see if you recall, because I think we had a conversation about this at some point, one of many. But do you recall having any sort of preliminary conversations, you know, with, you know, me and the princess included about what to do about DOC? Because they've been blowing everybody up about their pay. And I think I recall us like having an initial discussion on how to handle that, but I forget.
I don't know.
Because my thing is, like, I'm old school, Nino. I think the DOC should be the worst job and the worst paying job that there is, and it should not be max pay, super easy time, right? However, you know, I do think that, you know, getting paid minimum wage might be, you know, kind of cruel. In some ways.
So here's the thing, right? DOC and the marshals are currently an unknown, have an unknown, even though you have a slider, I have a slider, right? Like Blaine County does, Los Santos County does. The responsibility was the state previously, right?
That's kind of where my thinking was.
We don't know who it is now. And supposedly we're supposed to find out soon. So,
okay, so like that slider, that
650
in the slider doesn't mean anything. Is that what you're saying? Like literally?
No, it does. It just we don't know if we're gonna end up footing the bill or they are, right?
Because my like what I swear we talked about, at least like briefly.
I've moved it to 3,500.
And what my position and like what my position is, sort of, is that, you know, it shouldn't be a situation where people get arrested in LS and then they reap all the fines and then Blaine County foots the bill for all the DOC. That does not seem fair.
Oh, brother, I wish you and I worked together sooner. Here's the reality of what's happening, all right? And I want you to understand that I am being like as just genuinely honest as I can be, because I promise you're likely been like fed a lot of bullshit. So I'm going to tell you the full scope of things. And you're not going to hear me, like, mince anything. The way that it used to work is that where any cop was working, and this is going to sound like I'm very anti these people or that people. I'm just being as straightforward as I can. Because if I had my way... I'm
not trying to sound that way either.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. So... when the way that it used to work is when any cop, if the cop was working down, regardless what department you were in, what county you were in used to pay that police officer, right? So if Blaine County was in Los Santos County, they'll get paid the money. I kid you not, like day one, these fucking dumb fucks would intentionally sit in Mission Row PD farming paychecks. Soze caught them when I brought it up. Because what happened was this wouldn't actually have been an issue But Andy Jones, literally, I don't know what the fuck a deal was. Never wanted to have a adult conversation, right, about budget, right? It was always mixed with a bunch of bullshit. So when I sort of approached her on the topic, I'm like, hey, we have an issue right now where, BCSO is coming down here and literally just farming Los Santos County tickets, and I can't afford it. Now, you might have heard, like, Los Santos County has $400 million. That was not the case back then, first off, right? We were in the red. Like, it was bad. So, as a consequence, I couldn't balance the budget. Luckily, Soze fucking caught these dumb fucks literally just standing around jerking off in Mission Row. So, what ended up happening was, something a little bit more reasonable came into play, which was, the appropriate county pays the bill. And all of this is going to sound like it's all relevant, right? The full picture of things. The second thing that came up during that conversation is him and I spoke about giving BCSO and LSPD their own budget. So when they got arrests, they got a fraction of that money so that they would be responsible for their own personal lawsuits. And they would also, from there, give bonuses and payout. Like the original intent was that they, very similar how this mayor slide is, that PD would have its sliders to pay their people according to rank, right? Or bonuses or whatever.
These are the accounts that we've been talking about possibly phasing out, right?
Correct.
We've already been talking about these? Okay.
Yes.
Same thing.
Unfortunately, and I'm sure you've already felt this, is the city is not like what it used to be before the borders opened. Everything's a lot more... I don't really know any good words to describe it. You know what I mean? Things are a little bit more cops versus robbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And nuance and adding flavor to things like... No, everything is what it is. So what ends up happening is that instead of becoming what we sort of imagined it to turn into, right? Where, like, there was a little bit more life and a little bit more, like, meaning towards, like, budget conversations. It turned into a fucking game, Murphy. It turned into a fucking game where and I'm going to say, people, like, certain people would come down and arrest people and intentionally take them to Blaine County. Now, I want you
basically
to...
same fucking set of problems, different circumstances with the fucking quota bullshit from...
Yes! Exactly. And it was so shit, because you know as much as I do. Like, imagine representing 6 people in the cells, and 2 dumb cunts have gone and taken half the fucking arrested people into a different police department. They're getting different charges. You can't represent the entire 6, right? It was turning into a shit show. And literally, I'm over here advocating, like, guys, like, what the fuck is this? You can't be splitting 95s like this. And it'd be like, oh my God, my fucking, like, budget amount and whatever. Like, horseshit arguments, right? Or, like, other horseshit arguments, like, nothing goes on in Blaine County. Which, I know there's some, I think, relevance to that concern, but it's like one of those things is, like, it's above my paycheck, right? Like, you know what I mean? I'm not, it's not on me whether or not they're going to add some new job up here. But what actually matters is that people could not get their proper due process. And on top of that, suspects were being gamified. There's no other way to put it. They were being, the gamification and turning them into bounties meant that people weren't getting proper representation. Cops were not charging consistently. And we're getting into this very odd scenario where already the counties are paying for the police forces, but they're not getting their money back. So it created like a very odd fiscal situation, right?
Yeah. That's why I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
Yes. And that is kind of where we are left today. Is that problem was never solved. The problem was every time that topic was brought up, it literally turned into, bullshit conversations about, we need money for our upgrades, and not about this city isn't. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to reduce what's happening around me to whether or not you're getting a vehicle upgrade. You know what I mean? It's what matters is you went and arrested somebody. They have a certain set of charges. There's evidence surrounding it, right? All this fucking. Anyways, so I want to give you that background because it's not as simple as, where are people getting processed and why the things are chopped up. It turned into a shit show because people do not. A lot of people that have been in charge of these things want to view things extremely simplified, even if it creates a lot of victims. You know what I mean? Victims being suspects, victims being members of, of our, mayor's offices trying to balance the budget. None of it was relevant. It's me bullshit.
I appreciate the background a great deal.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you, what I was thinking without the background in terms of the calls I've been getting from DOC. What makes sense in my head, right, is the prison is a state entity and people need to get paid. But there's a disparity and an imbalance on where that money comes from. So it makes perfect sense to me, just at first glance, for them to continue to make minimum wage, but there be some sort of state funding allocation to supplement that comes from both of us or whatever. That's kind of where my head was going with it. But I don't know what's actually feasible with the background you just gave me and all the stuff that I'm not intimate with yet.
Yep.
And I swear we had a conversation or started a conversation about this already. But
I think
we
we're
have
waiting.
Lots of conversations. So
yeah, I think we did with the Marshall stuff in that, I think between me and the DOJ, I think we paid like 45%. You guys did 10% or something along those lines to pay for the Marshals just temporarily. Give me one sec, Murphy. Hey, Pred.
I'm gonna return this call.
Can I call you right
still
back,
on for
or
that?
is it?
I was just going to ask if we're still on for that jetpack thing. Were you able to finalize that?
None of my office is around, so circle back with me after Tsunami tomorrow.
All right, perfect. Talk to you later, Mr. Chavez.
Easy. Appreciate it.
Bye.
What was I going to say?
We're talking about how the marshals relate and tie into that.
Yeah, so I don't think we ended up opening up the door for DOC. I do recognize that maybe there's budget issues on your side. I don't really know how bad your budget issues are.
We're on a deficit of 2 to 3 million. We're in the red by that much. So that's what we're running right now. And it's gone up by over 100K because we improved the medical supply quality for the doctors up there.
Are the doctors actually working up here?
I have no idea. But they did
it doesn't
request
work
with
like
us
that.
To improve their medical kits and all that.
I would not have done that because that affects everybody, not just doctors.
Oh shit. Well, it's like a drop in the water compared to the deficit that we're running. So we can adjust that or address that specifically. But yeah, we're not financially sound at all. So upping DOC to 3,500 is not just something I'm fundamentally opposed to just because of the nature of DOC. I don't think they should be paid more than doctors or therapists or whoever. They shouldn't be paid as much as lawyers or cops. Like, DOC is a stepping stone kind of hazing position. You learn to deal with stressful situations thanklessly, and you get fucked up and you deal with difficult people all day. And then maybe one day you become a cop. It's like an internship, right? Like, I'm old school, you're old school. I've been DOC once upon a time. Like, I remember it very clearly and very fondly in hindsight because it was so horrible at the time, but it was a step on my road to doing something that I wanted to do really badly. And I don't think that that should change. And I think that the people who want to get rich doing DOC aren't the people that we should have as DOC. But I think that, you know, if they have budget problems, they can't afford equipment, and they're getting paid the bare minimum, that might not be the best solution either. But I also know that it's in Blaine County, so anything they do get paid is going to drain out of our account, and we might not be able to support that because we're already in the red. So I'm just trying to, like I said, I'm trying to wrap my head around it so I can brief the mayor when she returns from her trip.
You know what
have they reached out to you about this? Because they've reached out to multiple people in our administration. I'm just curious if DOC has reached out to you in particular, or anyone in your office.
The DOC, they did. The reality is I don't think we should do anything with DOC until we hear back from the state. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just the reality. We don't know what's going to happen with the DOC. We don't know what's going to happen with the marshals, and whom ends up like who it falls into. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And I do understand your point, right? Like, Blaine County should not pay for. Let me be honest here. Our entire system is fucked up. If you want my honest opinion, half of BCSO is eating up your budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what we were trying to address, but I think it's going to be harder.
It's so hard
do now.
Yeah, it's very difficult because the problem is, if we're going to be honest, I'm going to shoot straight with you, Murphy. Blaine County economy can only sustain about half of the size of that department, and I've seen the numbers back with Pred. No one ever took the fucking decision to just fucking chop half of them and make them go to LSPD, because at the end of the day, right, and you know, and I don't expect anything to change. At the end of the day, the PD holds everyone by the balls. Right, is I don't see that problem resolving itself. If it did, I think you guys would have significantly more money coming in. And then I think in a system set up like that, I think the money that we get from arrests should come directly back to the county again, right? I think with those two things, there would be, and then the third thing would be that based on the size of our departments or whatever it is, let's say we're paying like $10 million in Los Santos County, you guys were paying like $2 million for our police forces, we would use that ratio to pay for the DOC. You know what I mean? Something logical and rational. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that sounds like something that could like be easily like sorted out, you know, mathematically on paper. That's reasonable to me. And honestly, BCSO should be a smaller department. And if it were a smaller department, then it could be positioned to be a more exclusive department. You know what I mean? Like, it could be that. If they just keep everybody and keep adding more people, then what's the difference? You know, LSPD is LSPD. That's like the main police force in the county. If you have BCSO and you trim it and streamline it, you could have it be something that's a little more elite, a little more specialized in what their priorities are. You could design it to be something a little more special.
Yeah.
But if you're just going to oh, hey, here's another police department, if you don't like the people at LSPD, you know, then that's all it's going to be.
The problem is, and that a lot of the veterans, it took me a while to get LSPD molded this way. And there's a lot of people in BCSO, McNulty's a lot better, mind you, that unfortunately for months Like, y'all's budget should be in the tens of millions. I promise you. Like, I didn't get 400 million overnight. It's like, you know what I mean? Obviously, our inflow is quite a bit, but that's an accumulation over a year. You know what I mean?
Right.
Is that fuck, what was I going to say? They never believed in the system set up by the feds. Does that kind of make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
they kind of skipped it. I don't know how else to put it. It's fucking, that's pretty much what happened, right? Didn't want to believe in the Constitution. Didn't give a fuck about the budget. It's like, no, we just want to come on duty and chase fucking criminals, throw them in the slammer, you know, fuck the charges, right? And trust me, that exists in LSPD too, but it's just, we can afford that padding. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
BCSO is not sensitive to our budget concerns or any of that stuff. And my concern is that, you know, is the princess going to continue to follow through on her desire to cull that department and her desire to balance the budget when these challenges present themselves? I want her to have a very good information set to make these decisions and navigate the complexities of the situation. But it's just such a messy fiscal situation that, you know, I'm still trying to get up to speed with it.
Do you know how I'm able to deal with it? I
You got
literally,
good people working for you.
that took a long time, Murphy. I have been the devil. You know, when I put in Moss, the amount of toxic shit that used to get posted on Twitter about her, crazy. The amount of shit that months, Murphy. And I had to be the fucking big dog biting motherfuckers in the neck. I had to lash at fucking justices that literally were sending out fucking, I'm not even kidding, brother. I had fucking drones following me around. Fucking
Holy shit.
40 FOIAs. You know, before Angel went away, I requested all my FOIAs after I found the drone chasing me around. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why are you following me? I got a FOIA. I request all of them. She refused to give it. Said it was impossible. Finally, someone competent came around. They got me the FOIAs within 24 hours. I want to give you just an idea, and this is relevant to underline the kind of shit I was not only actively dealing with, but things that you will actively find yourself dealing with.
And that's my concern, is the tenacity that you're talking about.
Yes.
I'm concerned whether the princess is going
will
to
get attacked.
Be that aggressive.
I
think she can stand up for herself. She can stand on her own 2 feet and she can take the hits. But is she going to be aggressive like you were to get this shit done? That's the question.
And when you are aggressive, people will be like, oh my God, what a mean piece of shit. It's like for defending yourself. Murphy, you ready for this? You ready for? I want to show you how bad this was. I got the FOIAs up. They all came shared documents. The day I got hired, right? The day I became mayor. Oh, sorry, the next day after my inauguration, right? And I swear to you, you know I was into shit, right? I swear to you, clean as a whistle. Mechanic shop, blah, 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 lawyer afterwards. Second day, me and Tilly go to run G6 to figure out where the sliders need to be because it doesn't give you the math. They had multiple marshals do an investigation into me embezzling state funds for running G6. One round.
Wow.
Nino Media Blitz, September 7th, 8th, 2024. A full transcript was Nathaniel Grayson, who was a marshal at the time, was ordered by the then director to make a transcript of me exposing justice saying that law enforcement no longer had discretion on charges. So I hold a press conference on it. Brother, I have fucking foyers here of them following me around, taking photos of me in random meetings with the chief of police. It's just bad. So the reason I underline this is going to happen to you. It's going to happen to Princess. You have some very dirty motherfuckers in the police force still today. They'll spend their entire fucking life trying to stop you from doing what's right.
Well, that's nothing new for me. But, you know, obviously Princess is, you know, she's untested, I guess, in maybe that way. Or maybe, I don't know. I don't want to disparage her, but like maybe a little naive about that. She gives people the benefit of the doubt in ways that, you know, maybe we don't anymore. And, yeah, it worries me a little bit because I do see a lot of the scummy behavior, you know, maybe before she will. And, you know, I'm wary of it.
They're not going to give up their budget that easy because that budget is what lets them operate independently. I had to mold LSPD to give a fuck. And unfortunately, that took a very long time. But I will tell you this, I will have y'all's back from beginning to end on it because this San Andreas is not a fucking police state. Priority is never law enforcement. It's people. You know what I mean? And justice, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And, you know, the princess has a pretty solid relationship with the sheriff. So I think that they'll be able to be productive in their discussions. But, yeah, this whole budget thing, I'm worried that it's fallen by the wayside. And that she's not going to follow through.
I don't think she is.
To get rid of half the department.
I don't think she is. Oh, wait, that's part of the plan?
I mean, that was like one of the main questions in every interview is like, if she wanted to get rid of half of the department, would you be willing to do it?
That. Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
Keep this between us, please.
Absolutely.
Because I like Princess. I think she's very strong. I think she's probably been she probably is the strongest mayor, Blaine County mayor. Fred folded. Everyone folded. And she stood up. And I think it was very obvious to me she folded with the McNulty decision. And I want to be very transparent. I'm glad Peters remained. Because I think Peters losing in LSPD, like LSPD losing Peters, would have been devastating. I think he's like the other half of Turner, right? Turner's the strict guy and Peters is the pega. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the way she stuck to that scuffed ass survey, I don't know what the fuck happened. Something happened, brother. And that was a fold and a half.
I'll be honest with you, Nino. And you know, you don't have to keep this between us. This isn't like state secrets, but
yeah.
You know, it kind of is. But you know, in the 11th hour, I was pro Peters pretty much the whole way. I would have probably been more entertained and enjoyed Peters more, but I ultimately recommended McNulty for a variety of reasons. But I fear you might be right that whether it was intended to be or not, that it was a fold and that it's gonna get in our way.
Yeah, and to be clear too, like I'm glad it's McNulty. I think he's the best choice. I think there's the best based on the options that exist. But regardless if the conclusion was the best, it's the process. You know what I mean? And it's that process that makes me think the fold is likely to occur again. Right?
It's like this. If it were Peters, then we would have to make that decision based on our desire to see through the likelihood that it would just blow up the department in an extremely dysfunctional way, and we would just get rid of half the people that way. And that is not necessarily conducive
That would not have been
to
healthy.
a productive relationship with the
No.
department going forward.
I-
So it was a bit of a compromise in the sense of listening to every point of view,
Yeah.
making a responsible choice from the options available that we can live with and they can live with, that maybe gives us some credit and some juice with them to work with them through our selection. Whereas Peter's would have been the fuck you choice, and that would be the foot that we get off on. So
Can I
was a
ask
tough
you
one.
something? Was that decision made like Sunday, like 2 days prior to the selection of McNulty?
that decision was made mere hours before the announcement. The final discussion
Oh.
occurred. The final
See, what I'm
discussion
saying,
and
2 days
recommendations
prior to
occurred.
that, I think she already wanted McNulty. Because I agree with what you're saying wholeheartedly, 1,000%. I think if Peters ended up the sheriff, and I say this, Peters, I consider him a very close friend. I really do. But I cannot ever put my friends above the city. And you're right. It would have been a fucking disaster.
And I, of course, had to make my recommendation based on, me trying to do a good job and act in the interest of my employer as well. So it's not
True.
even, for me, from my point of view, it's not even necessarily about the county. It is, I do care about the county.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to make the best decision for her political future if she wants to seek re-election. All these things down the road.
This is very
look a
interesting,
lot
this
better,
conversation.
if we don't choose Peters also.
Yeah.
So I had to take the full scope and weight of everything into consideration when I made my recommendation.
Yeah.
And McNulty probably to this day thinks that I recommended Peters because I wasn't. I'm not. Me and him aren't like super great friends, and I was pretty vocal about wanting Peters.
Yeah. Well, fuck what people think, you know what I mean? Ultimately, I think what matters is, I think definitely the best choice was ultimately made. At the end of the day, politics matter, right? It's not about,
Yeah.
it's what's going to make the city tick forward.
Yeah, I'm just worried about the budget and being able to pair, to trim the bonsai tree of the BCSO and try to do that thoughtfully. But yeah, I don't know. As the days go on since the selection was made, and especially since McNulty chose the undersheriff while the mayor was out of town. I feel
Kuma.
like that communication.
You're
is
pretty
suffering,
accurate.
and those plans are kind of falling by the wayside a little bit.
Yeah, it's hard to stay at a 10. It really is. I'm transparently not trying to be as pressuresome. Because my impression is I don't think Princess is going to push any harder anymore. I'm going to be honest. I think my impression is I think she's happy where things are. And maybe I'm wrong, but I myself have to make a judgment call as well because I don't want to find myself being the guy that's pushing her to do something she may not want to do, right? I got plenty of problems on my end. I don't want it to turn into like a Nino's making me do this sort of situation. You know what I mean? Even if that's not the
It
intention.
should be more of a collaboration.
Yeah. Exactly.
Where we have common interest, we can come together and work something out.
Yep. Yeah.
Where do you think she would be without my services?
She did quite well. I think she did quite well, during the whole, justice thing. She worked very closely with us. I think you've provided her with some independence, which is good. I just you have to keep her focused on what you think is best for the county. Is the best way I can put it. She can get distracted very easily. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe
I've
that's.
noticed.
I think right now she's distracted with something else. So
Yeah, she's had some personal things and some danger and threats on her safety and all that. So that's kind of been going on lately.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think that that has passed for the most part. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I want to at least like put her in the best position to get a wrap around the budget issues and maybe get us making some money so we can do some cool stuff in Blaine County. But with your understanding and your background on the fiscal process, do you think it is even possible for us to achieve income for the county without
100%.
BCSO?
I want you to keep in mind that a lot of shit that people talk about the budget is literally dog shit. When she first got into office, there was over $40 million in the Blaine County account. Now, I recognize that she wanted to buy the community center or whatever, the castle, and some other things. But there literally, Blaine County was making like 14 mil a month, like surplus. And so it's 1,000 per. I don't know where the money's getting chopped up. A BCSO, because I can see both numbers, right?
Yeah.
And the Blaine account was growing quite steadily, right? But the increase to pay for the BCSO, I think chopped it up some things. And then I don't know where the other money's going. Last I saw, there was like 20 million. I know there was like a stipend given from the state. I don't know what that's for. Maybe it's back pay. I mean, it went down to 7 mil and now it was at 20 mil or something like that. I don't know where the money's coming and going right now, right? But I think there's an overspending issue at the moment. And to give you perspective, right? Once again, that 400 million in the Los Santos County account is like a misnomer. It's a distraction. Like, we got it on easy mode. No, 270 million of that is for the state. And also, I run a very tight budget. I think our expenditure mostly goes to events that the entire most of the state gets to benefit from, right? So my point is it's very solvable. I help Pred solve it, right?
Yeah, our struggle right now is that both our financial people in the cabinet are fucking MIA, and I'm a lawyer. I'm not the damn accountant.
Oh,
that's not ever going to be me.
Y'all can have a couple mil a week easy, because that's how it used to be, right? So, what is BCSO getting paid right now?
I mean, I think they're getting 3,500.
See, that's cooked.
Yeah, because they also have that account. That's
exactly.
McNulty even said that there's millions of dollars in that account. They probably have more money in their account than we have in ours.
Make them give bonuses to each other. You know what I mean? Fucking slam that shit down.
That's exactly right in line with what I was saying about how to solve DOC. It was like, if you need more money, pay people bonuses.
BCSO was getting paid $800 an hour. Pred increased it to $1,200 or $1,500. BCSO getting paid $3,500 right now is like a new thing. You know what I mean? Now,
if I'm wrong, then they're getting paid $2,500, but I'm pretty sure they're getting paid $3,500.
Yeah, that's where your budget's going. Like I said, for up until Pred, and even into Mumbles, there was over $40 million in that account. And, so it's you got to keep in mind, right? They do one academy over 3 days, and there's 20 of them on duty. That's a shitload of money getting slurped up. This doesn't make any sense.
I definitely think that we should circle back to this discussion. Maybe tomorrow after the legislative review.
Yeah.
Assuming that the mayor's going to be returned from her trip for that.
Yeah. Okay. 100%.
It'd be really good to just get her mind tracked up, tracked into some of this stuff again. Because like I said, she's had some other things on her mind lately, and then she had to go out of town. So,
absolutely,
you know, all this stuff is still there. So I think the DOC stuff, the BCSO stuff, getting back into a task-oriented frame of mind there would be helpful. And obviously, your background is going to be just as helpful to her as it has been for me too.
Yeah, I think a key thing, mind you, is figuring out why do you need budget. I think answering, and I'm not saying you guys don't need a budget, right? But knowing why you need the budget is a good starting point as well, because
the BCSO budget or just
Blaine County
surplus for us.
Yeah,
well,
like knowing,
just like you, I'd like to do some events and stuff.
And I think that's a
good,
absolutely. And I think the reason I say that, right, is a lot of times, unfortunately, when this conversation ends to open, it's not really objective based; it's emotion based. Right? Where if the conversation starts objectively, we want to be able to do like, you know, every month do about like $8 million worth of events, right? Now, objectively, now you know where you want to get to, right? And then it's easier to go back and say, what do we need to do to get to $8 million, right?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I
just wish our financial people were doing their jobs.
Who are the financial people?
Jordan Ackridge and Ursula.
Oh my God, you got Ackridge on your board. Yo,
she hasn't been around since she got the job.
Brother, be fucking careful as shit. That is the most sus person in San Andreas.
You don't gotta tell me.
She will leak.
My fucking ex-wife sent her to spy on me, for fuck's sake, ages ago. Like, trust me, I know. Like, she has been a spy in my life ever since the moment I met her, and I knew immediately. She's not very subtle.
No, it's awful. And you know what the worst thing is? Oh my God, brother. Yeah, you know what? I'm not even. Yeah, bro, get her off. Why is she in the cabinet?
Look, because the princess doesn't know, okay? And I'm not, I'm getting hired for a cool new job. I don't want to be like disparaging or talking shit
I got you.
Unloading all my drama on the princess about this other person that I have toxic history with. But
I get it. I do.
I know about Jordan.
I feel like you and I understand each other better than most will. Even though even though telling them is probably the best, is good for them, there's a high propensity that it's going to come and blow back on your face. You try to be the nice guy, it's going to blow back as if you're the evil guy, trying to cut someone out.
What I did say to the princess when she was going to hire her was, as long as you know that whatever you say to her will be repeated, then you got nothing to worry about. So just tell her something every once in a while and see how it comes back to you. And then, just, if you ever want to spread disinfo, she's the one you want to do it with.
Yep. Yo, that's crazy. That is crazy. That's how I caught her, mind you.
Yeah, no, you feed bullshit and see how who brings it back to you. Yeah. And as long as you know that someone's a fucking spy, then that means they're just an asset to you. And that's kind of the way I look at her. She can't do me any harm as long as I know what she's up to.
Man, that's wild. Okay.
She's really bad at being a spy.
I don't know why she... I agree. I think she also flip-flops on her... like allegiance,
Yeah, I don't even know what her motives are.
I don't know. I think she's just a. I think she's just a tea sipper. That's what it is. I don't think it's even that deep.
Yeah, that's gotta be it.
Like, hey, I know shit. I got you. So
Makes her feel useful.
yeah. You know what's crazy? She originally came to me for help because she got fired for like leaking shit, right? And I was so understanding at the time. And then it turns out she started doing some rat shit against me. Unprovoked. Just unprovoked. You know what I mean? Unfortunately,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
a lot of times I feel like people will make an enemy out of you from like osmosis. I don't mean you, but I mean out of anyone, right? Out of osmosis, right? Like you tell me like, hey, you know, so and so about whatever, some random person. All of a sudden, you know, a lot of people just be like, oh, you know what? Fuck that person. Never met him before. Doesn't matter. Fuck him though. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. I've had lawyers do that to me, and I'm like, listen, motherfucker. There's only 2 people who have made enemies with me who are even alive, and that's Matt Rhodes and Nino. So, you know, everyone else is fucking dead or vanished and disappeared forever. So, like, you really want to do this? And what's your reasoning?
That was a long time. That was a long time ago too.
Yeah, we sorted it out.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But yeah, like with her, I never understand the motive. And the funny thing is too is like I remember some of the PD shit when she was in reception. Like even when she's just like screwing up, it's like the same type of shit. It's like she's accidentally leaking fucking SOPs or some shit.
Oh my god. Oh fuck.
But yeah, I don't know. Point being, she's been MIA, so maybe she's dead for all I know.
And then Ursula, where the fuck is she gonna figure this shit out?
I think she's more like I forgot what her actual. She's like the spreadsheet person. So she's not even like the finance person, but like kind of hand in hand with that. What we really need to have is like a cabinet meeting, like a proper cabinet meeting. Trying to get this shit organized.
Jesus. Well, I got more meetings lined up, Murphy. Fortunately, it's literally as soon as you called me, I got like, I'm not even kidding, like 8 phone calls back to back. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's like,
yeah, I understand. I appreciate you taking the time to touch base on all this stuff and give me some good background.
Anytime.
I just want to have some good info for.
Yeah.
And I think I got that now.
I genuinely think if the PD accounts were a part of the counties, things would just make sense, because fundamentally it doesn't logically make sense that we pay a PD that we don't fiscally like get value back from, right?
Right.
It doesn't.
No, I totally agree.
It's an empty investment.
I hope that we can work with the feds and the state to figure out like a way.
We would just need to pass it. Yeah. We'd literally just.
So it's
pass
like it's that simple. It's that simple to just like make changes like that.
We would
just pass paper.
Yeah, we'd pass it. Mind you, I don't have that problem because Turner and I work close enough that like I don't need it, but I'm gonna back you guys doing it. I would say you do one for Blaine County, and if I need to make it state, we can do that. You know what I mean? I had this conversation with Turner. He's very much against it, and the reality is that the problem, I'm not. If I need money from his account or vice versa, we don't have that issue. So to prevent, I don't want to end up blocking what you guys want to do. You guys should just put that like legislation forward for your own shit. And as soon as it's in,
Yeah.
they'll probably, shouldn't be that hard to flip a switch somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm hoping we can start to raise that tomorrow at the legislative
Yes.
talk, and kind
Okay.
of be able to draft something maybe this week on that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I'll let you get to your next meeting.
100%.
Thanks for taking the time.
Yep. You take care.
We'll talk soon.
Holy fuck.